Hello, I'm Jeremy Rivera, your unscripted SEO podcast host. I'm here with Timothy, who's going to introduce himself with a focus on his expertise, his experiences in life that have made him trustworthy in his niche and industry, which I hope he'll then elaborate on. What would you say you do here, Timothy?
Well, I used to do affiliation in the gambling market, but now I've since retired from that. Now I just basically discover black hat SEO and report on it. I really enjoy digging into how it works, so I try to decipher that through my posts on LinkedIn. That's
I
basically
love
my what I do now for fun, really.
Is there a history that you have some experience, where you came in contact with a lot of those? Like, 'cause I've had close brushes and run into some very unusual and dangerous, approaches to SEO that I would call black hat. What is it about your previous experience that's, led you to be able to uncover what is black hat and what does that look like now? I know in 2007 when I started, it looked like, oh, 500 pages with white text on a white background. But things are a little more advanced or more sneaky
A
these
bit more
days.
nefarious, I'd say. No, black hat has definitely evolved. When I started, Black Hat was just hacking websites and putting links or using the old, site counter and injecting it to the Java code. That was really effective back then. So basically, no user could see it, but Google could, and that's what mattered back then. And you could get tons of links that way. I know because I tested it. I built like a site counter, and in that was like links for gambling sites. It was a short experiment. Like I'm not proud of it, but might as well be honest. And it worked magically, until I stopped it because it seemed just unethical, really. But that was Black Hat back then. Today is way different, in my opinion. Way worse.
Can you elaborate a little bit more about what nuance or what aspect or angle of modern black hat is so much more dangerous?
Okay, so well, what I'm digging into now is basically expired domains, right? Drop domains, I call them. And so, high authority old domains somebody didn't renew, they're then repurposed into gambling sites. Now, this shouldn't work, right? But there's a trick to it. And I keep calling it the canonical trick, which literally this is the way a canonical was supposed to be used, according to John Mueller back in 2008. He had like a little blog post that explained how it worked. Basically, you take any old high authority domain. I found for the US sweepstakes market, for instance, Carolina Partners, an old mental health clinic. Uh, and the domain still has somebody bought it or scraped it. Basically, it still has the old mental health PDFs there to build trust. And what they do is they take this domain, then they bombard it with, I mean, spam links that look like something out of 2002. Like it would be bad for 2002, or today it's
Yeah.
horrible. And just related anchors, sweepstakes casinos, best sweepstakes casino, all those keywords, right? To what I think build, topical relevance through links. Because in my opinion, the only thing Google values is the links, right? Because how many times can you write about sweepstakes? How do you know which one is the best sweep? Yeah, it's the same content, right? So what determines the rankings are the links. Oh, what they then do is they canonical it to a fresh domain. I think this time it was like toponlinesweeps.us.com or some subdomain like that. And this lasts for about a week. And then the domain dies. But then you just canonical it again. A domain name costs $10, so it's infinite, an infinite
Yeah.
loop, and it's in every market I've seen so far. Sweden, Germany, Netherlands, Italy, every market. It's worldwide, from what I can see, um, and it's so effective. I mean, it's absolute spam that's ranking, and since it's everywhere, there's no solution in place, I guess, because if you recall, back when Google announced the site reputation abuse, they also had an expired domain add-on penalty or something for the
Yeah,
use of. So this is old stuff. This is like 5, 6 years, but um, I've only seen it really pop up now because it used to be parasites everywhere, right? You have
yeah.
Forbes and whatnot. Now it's drop domains, and it's so effective. And whoever's buying these domains, I mean, I haven't quite figured it out yet, but I'm getting close. I feel like it's some domains work, some do not. Like I've seen 100 examples that do not work, but then
Yeah.
one will work for whatever reason. I'm not entirely sure why. Either it's roulette or there's something I'm missing.
Perhaps if I could throw something out there, you said that it was healthcare. One of the facets I talked to Lyndon Darth NA, Darth Nah, on Twitter about the medic update. And we were theorizing that what was the secret metric? What was the thing that they could flip overnight to suddenly, change the results across the board? And the answer that came to both of our minds was distance from seed. That, no matter how good of an article, if, because I consulted with Dr. Josh Axe, in 2014 and told him hire Gannett writers, deep relevant links, cite medical journals so you can overcome that, perception that you're just a chiropractor and you have talented writers. Healthline had on the similar topic just like 3 sentences on a page, and versus, 2,000 words written by, like, a literal scholar referencing 4 different medical journals. I think it was on turmeric was the one that we were looking at. So before Medic, you know, Josh Axe was ranking, and then overnight it flipped, and this 3 sentences about turmeric on the Healthline site was suddenly the bee's knees. That's what was showing, and Dr. Axe's site dropped off. And our theory is that it's distance from that trust source within that vertical. So within health and wellness, obviously, if you can get links from hospitals, there's a higher level of trust within
Yes.
inherent within that domain. Whereas as good as Dr. Josh Axe's content, he couldn't get medical links because of the nature of his business, supplements and, chiropractic, while widely believed in, is not mainstream medical practice. So he wasn't getting links like Healthline was, and it flipped overnight. So it couldn't be, it had to be something that was like a mainline signal. So perhaps in their quest to just, grab these drop domains and then spam them and then try to pass that value, perhaps the ones that survive are those that had come with a close distance to that trusted seed, maybe a link from another hospital or maybe a link from a government site, just kind of gave it that trust factor
Yeah,
that
yeah, for
they
sure.
inherited. Perhaps that's a factor in play.
I mean, what you're describing here is they had better links, right? Or I'm misunderstanding standing. They
It
had more trustworthy links, better links, stronger links, right?
Yeah,
Links, yeah,
it's links from trusted sources, and I think you can, to a certain degree, almost map. It's not a one-to-one thing, but if you go within any particular vertical, you kind of tend to see it. This is a factor of what Google defined as trust rank. So behind the scenes within verticals and niches, they would determine what are the source sites, what are the most trusted sites. And so you could map easily in cosine relationship those sites that were truly trusted 1, 2, 3 hops at most to these secondary sites if they're legitimate entities. Like if you're you know delivering concrete walls, you have a certain certification, and you have industry licenses. And so any site that doesn't have a connection to those license sites, either through 1 or 2 hops, lacks that signal. But if you're closer to it, then you get that signal. So it's just it's not just, it's quality link, but not quantitative, it's qualitative based off of links from a specific subset or type of site that's been already been determined as an authority.
Yeah, I mean, it could be, but where I get confused is where I see other sites that do work, or drop domains that are even more powerful than this Carolina Partners. That's also in like healthcare, or it's an aid site that don't work. Now, I don't assume to know Google's algorithm, in detail of how it finds a link trustworthy, but it would seem to me that an aid site with links from, everywhere, that was a legitimate AIDS site, should rank, but it doesn't. Like, for instance, just the other day I found in Sweden, or it was like 2 weeks ago, an old UV armband detector thing. That was an old store for an UV armband, and it absolutely dominated Sweden with the new gambling canonical, right? But the links weren't that impressive, so I don't understand what I'm missing here. Because links should be it, right? The trustworthy links. But then I see so many examples where it just doesn't work, and it's the exact same method. Spam it up, canonical. So it's really interesting. Now, if I hadn't seen all those examples, I would totally agree with you. It has to be those impossible to get links for a gambling site. But getting so many mixed signals here with the drop domains I check. Um, that I can't give a definitive answer on it. I even saw Tori Spelling's old site was bought and turned into a crypto casino portal, but that doesn't rank. So it's all it has a monster backlink profile, if you've ever checked it.
That's crazy.
Yeah, anything, and they'll snap anything. Anything for rankings, right?
So I have seen around the edges, kind of gray hat or, legitimate people that are trying to get links from expired domains and then stand them up and create a true current topical hub out of it. I've seen that strategy where, they'll acquire a site in a vertical like home repair, and then they'll, you know, restore the content, but then transform it into a home repair uh, kind of PBN style site where it has, at least relevant content, and then use that to link out
That's
more with a
very
more
old school
sustainable
SEO.
method.
That's really old school SEO. I used to do that too. I snapped everything and I restored the sites and just to build links, right? I must have snapped 2,000 domains, easy, uh, back then. But then it stopped working, right? Because there was a referee, and this is the big problem here. There's no referee. Google used to have a huge anti-spam team, so they would stop this like very quickly. Now it takes years and years when they're trying to automate it, I think. Um,
Do you think all of the attention's just gone over to
AI,
AI, to
yeah.
the AI overviews? And is that I haven't yet seen a highly publicized case of abuse of the AI overview succeeding. Um, have you seen any successes in that space or
No, but I haven't checked. I live in Europe. We don't have that many AI overlays, and when we do, you know it's for questions, right? It's not like a high intent your money or your life keyword, and it's especially not prevalent in gambling where I checked. I mean, I see or hardly any overlays at all. No, I think actually ChatGPT is who ruined it for everyone with this black hat stuff, because as soon as ChatGPT launched, Google had a competitor, a huge one, who was taking market share, and they, I think, flipped out about it, and now they had to really get their AI going because they were like market leaders in AI, but they weren't ready yet, and then ChatGPT launches, and this is when everything collapses, in my opinion. This is when Parasite starts because now they're automating it, right? The entire anti-spam team is just gone, I guess. or relocated, and all the resources is going for this AI stuff, which, arguably they're doing really well with their AI. At least when I compare it to ChatGPT, I think it's equally good or better.
Do you think the implementation of HCU is related to it? As in, they thought, oh, hey, we've got an anti-programmatic SEO tool now on the spam team, and we can just rely on machine learning to identify these patterns. And, like HCU was the reintroduction of Panda, right? Panda slash Penguin, there's argument over whether it uses link signals or is actually grading how helpful your content is. I tend more towards it's probably a hybrid of using mostly link signals along with some content signals to actually penalize based off of a lack of brand entity.
Uh, I mean, it's a good question. I don't think, I was never hit by HCU, but again, I was doing gambling back then, right? There's only so many ways you can write about a slot machine. So I wasn't affected by it in that sense. But, of course, I've read about it and how many sites it affected. I think the only positive thing out of HCU was killing those recipe sites, where you get the entire bloody life story and then you get the
Yeah.
recipe. Just give me the recipe first. I don't want to read that. Right? It was all for SEO. So that's the only, I guess, positive thing about it, in my opinion. But yeah, I think it's algorithmic now. They're trying to at least, but failing miserably, in my opinion, when it
I
comes
think
to
it's
combating spam.
I think it is it's funny because Google created the market, by only ranking those recipe articles that added their life story. Like I
Yeah.
remember 2010, I had a friend who, she had a recipe site and she's like, I can't just put up a good recipe anymore. I can't even show myself cooking it. I have to, do all of these extra steps. And then Google with HCU is flipping it around and punishing those creators who were basically incentivized. Google created the monster and
Yeah.
killed it, but I'm not sure that the HCU and then layering on top of it the sudden launch of AI overviews, which then turns around and consumes so much of your content and then doesn't even give you the courtesy of saying thank you, not even a citation or reference that you were used in their training material. The positive upside culture of, oh hey, I can be a creative person, I can write about this stuff, I can travel the world and visit all of these locations, and if I write about it thoroughly, then I'll be rewarded with traffic, which then funds that. um do you think that there's kind of a snake eating its tail moment either now or getting worse, as Google now will continue to just regurgitate and there's less and less incentive to be a publisher? Like I'm working with a radio site network, 50 radio station sites, and their lunch continues to be eaten. They're putting out the news, but it's getting eaten right away and they're getting less and less attribution.
Oh, I mean, if you have no incentive, you're not going to do it, right? If the AI just steals your content and regurgitates, a copy basically, and originality will die too, I think, right? Because there's no incentive to write. So why would you write unless it's a hobby? Uh, why would you produce good content if you can't even rank? Because then an AI steals it, and then it gives the user the answer, and you don't get any credit from it. No, that's Uh, d- it's like they're killing the internet without, isn't it?
Yeah,
Right?
it definitely is overall a reduction in, the creative potential because, I think on some level, maybe they're thinking, well, if you're a genuine enthusiast about it, then you're obsessive and you'll write about it anyways. Maybe. But that ignores huge swaths of
Yeah,
fantastic, useful content that was being created out of people who could then make a living doing it and doing so much more and providing so much more, but that cycle is just reversing on itself. I don't know how we get out of it other than the eventual paywall reality and people
yeah,
start blocking AI overviews, blocking Google, and just creating trying to find alternative ways to build audience.
yeah. I mean, to be fair, I find it pretty useful. Like for instance, the other day, my remote control for the TV unpaired, and I don't want to go through Samsung's documentation. It's a nightmare. AI just summed it up for me. It worked. In those cases, I see it as super helpful.
Yes.
But
It
for all
is
the other reasons, yeah, not so much.
it is hard because I cannot argue as I use, Claude every single day in very large ways to execute things at a scale that would have been astronomical for the deliverables that I'm working on, and content creation just moves much more quickly. It's just kind of that balancing act of, you know, too much of this AI, um, you know, the public side of it, the tool side of it versus the functionality side. It does have that data pollution problem. I think I saw a statistic. Matt Brooks of Esoteric mentioned it. There's no good AI, non-AI polluted content since 2015. You have to go back to older style content because, if you have Jarvis uh was doing its early work, LLM based tools, 2015, 2016. So to truly get content that has been in no way influenced by LLMs, you have to go back to pre 2015 training material, of which there's only so much.
Yeah. It was like Jarvis was writing well back in
Yeah.
2015.
Yeah,
I never tried it.
I used Jarvis in 2015, and that was pretty late in the game, actually. Early LLM tools, upgraded from content spinners, 20
Yeah.
2008, 2009, early LLMs, 2011, 20 to 2013. But I remember clearly using, Jarvis, um, in 2015 before they had to rebrand to Jasper because of the success of the Iron Man movie.
Oh,
Um,
right.
so that's how old it is. But
I had no idea.
um, yeah, like
I never used it. I'm old school, I guess. Like at most, I'll use AI to just, okay, check for grammar errors, add a joke here and there, and then I still rewrite it afterwards. Tell me, how do you feel about large media organizations moving forward with using AI content editor, so to say? You have some human oversight, but most of the content is written by AI, and they just fire all the writers. Because that's the trend I'm seeing now. Because it's cheaper, right? And it's faster.
yeah,
But you
I
get the
have
same
seen.
blend. Like, have you seen ChatGPT? There are like certain keywords, you know instantly this is by AI. It's quietly, it's brutal, and those keywords. It's always AI who uses those keywords.
I have seen that. I know, Indeed, transitioned away from hiring live human writers first in their foreign markets and then moving over to the American market. They went almost entirely AI powered with minimal human editing. Um, so I'm keeping an eye and a tab on that. And I know of several other large organizations, some of which have already started crashing. I know I was keeping tabs on some of the big programmatic SEO bros, 2 years ago, who went all in on replacing any content creation with just creating mass content through ChatGPT with almost no editorship. It does seem, at least in the past 3 months, there seems to be uh, updates from Google where they're starting to slap some more things down for mass AI content strategies. Lily Ray is always a good go-to to keep your fingers on the pulse for that. I think there was an unnamed update 2 or 3 weeks ago that seems to have hit a number of sites, that were just, AI slop, we could call it.
Were those algorithmic hits or manual?
They appear to be algorithmic hits, but it's
That's good.
it's harder to it you know, it is hard to say if they went in at the same time and hit. But it's a so anytime that happens, you do have that, maybe they hit some sites manually to make it seem more effective. Google's really good at that FUD, stomping around and make a big noise about something they don't like to scare the more reasonable citizens out of out of particular behaviors. They did it with
Yeah, but
Mobilegeddon.
they said that about parasites back in 2020 and drop domain. Well, I think it was 2020. It's as far back as then. And AI content at scale, but we still see it, don't we?
Yes, yes, we do.
I'm actually seeing now that parasites are like slowly dying. It's very interesting. They're not getting the strength they used to. So maybe something happened there. I mean, to, what's the word I'm looking for here? To assume you're in a prison and you have to supervise the entire web and manage it. I mean, what a monumental task. So either you automate it and successfully, or you have to hire like 10,000 people to manually check it. It must be monumental, which is maybe why it took 6 years to finally crack down on parasite SEO. This canonical trick, I'm fully expecting it to disappear in 5 to 6 years, uh, probably. Hopefully sooner. I mean, it is just spam.
So, are there any other tactics that you've seen in the Black Hat arena that are new and unusual, or is it pretty much all
No, I mean,
memed?
the parasite is old school, right? It used to work ages ago, and then it stopped working because they were managing it, Google, and then it started working again. Canonicals were never as powerful as they are today. This is old school stuff again. Um, and then you have, through the Google leak, it became clear that they use click metrics, right?
Yes.
So that I think plays a huge part of why canonicals work, but I can't really prove it, right, without getting analytics to the sites, which they're not going to give me.
Yeah.
Using spam bots with VPNs, I actually researched it a bit. You can hire you can rent a box of Android phones. It's just the motherboard, right? And
Yeah.
they're each connected to a VPN, and you can manage it from home. You can just send bots to go through the search results, click on your site, and increase bounce rate. And it's not that expensive either.
It,
So
I had seen that and had a friend who was curious about its long-term efficacy. I saw some posts on a local forum of a couple of guys that went hard on it and got burned. So I think there's probably a ceiling of,
yeah, there is. Yeah.
because if you suddenly drop off that level of clicks, then that seems to trigger. So then you're invested in always having a minimum of fake bot traffic. Um, so you gotta keep up appearances. So at some point, that's going to turn on your natural business.
Yeah, I mean, what you're basically doing is you're faking branding, right?
Yeah.
So I remember I used to do SEO in Sweden for gaming, and there was a casino site that was on every TV channel, like massive branding. It was called Ninja Casino, and their backlink profile was terrible, but because of the all the branding they did, I think they just got so many brand visits, and they just pushed them up to like position 1 or 2 casino. And then they ran into some legal trouble when Sweden regulated, and they dropped off a cliff, completely gone. So I think this bot traffic, this is what it's simulating, right? Real use until you get caught. I think Google is getting pretty good at finding bots because PPC ads kind of demands it. If there's no
Yes.
value for the advertisers, there's no value for Google, and we try to kill it.
I think what's interesting on the bot side of things, I wonder if you have an opinion on this, but about a year ago, Google updated and removed the ability for rank tracking tools to show 100 pages of results at a time. And the impressions on all of my client sites reduced. And across the industry, we
Yeah,
lost all of those impressions because they were being inflated by visits by our friends at Ahrefs, SEMrush, and
yeah.
every other son of mother who wants to track rankings.
Don't know why they did that. It could be because of clickbots. It could also be to stop other AI programs scraping their search results right there.
Yes.
Parenthesis. Either way is possible, right? But
I
if it really
think
was clickbots, then why didn't they do it sooner? That's my question. I mean, it certainly wasn't to stop rank trackers, right?
no, I think they were willing to accept the bloating and accept the extra cost of serving those results. Um, but once Anthropic made clear that they were going to continue to scrape, they didn't want to directly feed their competitors, which they are still now. Like, honestly, Claude and GPT and even Grok are in some ways just fancy wrappers for Google results.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah. Well, I guess Google uses Reddit too for some reason, but
Yeah.
yeah. Jesus, have you? Yeah, no, I stay away from Reddit. I don't like it. It's more a US thing, I think.
It's pretty popular here, and I was just shared, a link to a company that will AstroTurf using VPNs and aged profiles, fake popularity on Reddit for you to get you mentions and or links from Reddit. So anytime Google shows favor to a particular area, you can expect eventually somebody tries to figure out a workaround to astroturf those real signals.
I think once Google has had enough of that partnership, it will, slowly die to where it was at least. I mean, Google had a partnership with Twitter too, back in the day, and it
Yes.
surged as well. It was a lot of drama about it. I think I remember, but then they stopped the partnership, and so it settled down to where it was. So with that said, I think Google is inflating Reddit. More users, more data for the AI race we have to win, right? I
Yes.
mean, that AI race
Exactly.
is just inflating stock values. Like, expect a crash, man. This even with the semiconductors, it's not paying dividends yet. Like, have you seen OpenAI's costs and what they actually pulled in?
Yeah.
That's not sustainable.
It's an interesting time knowing on the back end the marketing and knowing better what these actual tools can really deliver as far as value, and then seeing 5, 6, 7, $8 billion valuations. It's like, why would you ever valuate, SEMrush as high as they did when it came out? Like, it just like it's a good tool, but just doing an IPO and oh, it has this much value. I don't know why people sign up to do that when they know that eventually, like, you can't defy gravity forever. You can't. There's only one GameStop. Like he can't be a meme stock forever.
Yeah, yeah. I haven't really followed Semrush to be honest. It's not going well, is it?
It's come down a lot. Yeah. And I expected that because anytime that you go public, the expectations of shareholders is equally or more brutal than, private equity. Moz got bought out by private equity, mid 20 teens, and they drove it into the ground. They murdered one of the more successful SEO SaaS companies with a brilliant reputation. Rand had done so much hard work to build it up, and the equity partners just kept demanding more and more profitability, and that came at the cost of their entire business model. Now
They bought it, right?
people don't even think of SEO Moz anymore as an SEO tool or anything
No,
in
I
the
guess
SEO
not.
industry.
I guess not. So I guess we'll just expect Ahrefs to get bought up soon and IPO'd as well and follow the same path. Uh,
I've talked to Tim Sulo at a couple of conferences. I'm confident that he has seen those lessons and will not be
okay.
taking it IPO. I think he's in it for the long term for himself to stay. So I'm hoping that that continues to be true because, uh, like I said, either private equity or going public just creates these distorting pressures on software companies that
Yes. Yeah, yeah. Like look at Google. Uh,
don't be
yeah,
evil. Oh, you gotta get rid of that.
yeah. Don't be evil, right? Remember when they said just write great content? Wasn't that fun?
Just write great content so that we
Yeah.
can steal it.
Uh, yeah. I mean, there's no other way to train an AI, is there? Of course, you go to the source of all human knowledge. I mean, the internet. With that said, I don't think AI is bad. I use it a lot for menial tasks. Uh, like, I have a huge document or, summarize this for me, maybe, because I don't want to spend 4 years reading 1,000 pages. And they do get it wrong sometimes, but you get the gist of it. And for that, it's really helpful. Uh, when I used to, when you order drop domains, for example. Okay, so you get a huge list of coming domains. Okay, so sort them by this. That is super helpful if you're using it like menial tasks like that. And also, even for writing, but in the sense that just grammar check it or something, because spell check on Word is iffy, I would say.
Yeah,
So that's where I use it too. Even for my post, I have ChatGPT just go through it, check it, or any inconsistencies, because I can ramble on sometimes. And maybe correct them and show me where you corrected them. And then
yeah,
usually I just rewrite them again. So
yeah. Using it, I've found the phrase "as a strict editor" is usually the best bet, and then
yeah,
also tell it, "Hey, tell me what you're going to change, what you think I should change before because I do a lot of cleanups of the transcripts of conversations that I have with SEOs, and I realized if I'm not careful with how I prompt it, it invented. I did one recap and it made up a whole section of like total stuff that we never actually said. So you have to be very mindful.
yeah, double check it. Oh, interesting.
Well,
Oh,
I appreciate.
the num 100 thing. I didn't even know that was a thing
Yeah,
before the news came out. Like I didn't use that. I manually checked.
well,
And if
I
you're not top
appreciate the
10, you're
time. And
nowhere anyway. So
yeah, so that was always the interesting thing about rank tracking because I worked at Raven Tools, competitor to Moz, and so I was in on the negotiations with several different data vendors providing rank tracking data, and the scale at which they were sending bots to Google was always mind blowing to me as I'm purchasing this data and paying them, you know, negotiating over, 0.0007 cents for each tracked keyword, for each search engine. And, it's a pretty, uh, challenging industry to be a data vendor for because Google's constantly, trying to keep you out, trying to, keep bots from scraping, so they have to have regular protocols to swap that around. Raven Tools used to do it in house. They helped create a second company, Authority Labs, which continued that business on separately from Raven Tools. So, knowing all of that, I wasn't surprised personally. I was just surprised that Google finally did anything to actually counter the amount of scraping, but in the context, it made sense because, Anthropic, and others had just upped their game and started crawling the shit out of their SERPs.
Server costs, right? That
Exactly,
makes
server
sense.
cost.
Yeah, yeah, interesting.
Well, I appreciate all your time. I love a good organic conversation, and there aren't too many folks that are focused either on Black Hat or on the link side of things. So I appreciate your unique input. Shout out again if you have a company or if you have a LinkedIn profile, I can add it to the show notes. People can see where you're publishing your
Yeah, yeah,
articles and
LinkedIn
information.
for sure. Absolutely. Yeah, sounds good. And I could talk about Black Hat for years, honestly. Uh, whatever works, you see it in Gandon first, because that's where the money is, right? So
That makes
usually
sense.
I'll see the latest Black Hat, if I can explain it, pop up there first. The more lucrative it is, the shadier it gets, basically.
That's the unfortunate side of humanity, right? Like
Yeah,
where the money is, the scoundrels go.
yeah, I was part of that industry for many, many years, but I did more gray hat SEO. So, but yeah, thanks so much for having me. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you, sir.